I have officially had the Chase Sapphire Reserve for just over a year now, and with the recent popularity of this card, I feel like now is a good time to put my 2 cents in about it after getting to fully experience it for myself. I really only have one main goal for this video, and that's to answer the question of, is the Chase Sapphire Reserve honestly worth it these days? And as always, this is going to be a multi-part video broken down into chapters that you can find down below. And if you do end up skipping ahead in this one, all I ask is that you check if you're subscribed before doing so. Real quick, I'm super excited to announce a giveaway on our channel for hitting 25,000 subscribers soon. And thanks to the generosity of a couple of our channel partners, I'll be giving away a combination of 10 12-month long Max Rewards Gold subscriptions so you can test out all of their pro features without any monetary investment, 6 6-month Max Rewards Gold subscriptions as a second tier winning from them, 5 1-hour long calls with me where we can build out a roadmap like I do on my paid calls or just talk about whatever you want, and 4 extra wallets of your choosing. And speaking of extra, they do have their biggest sales of the year coming up, Black Friday and Christmas. So if you end up liking the wallets that you win and want to buy some for your friends and family, the timing of this giveaway is pretty perfect. But with all of that, we have 25 total winners for the 25,000 subscriber giveaway, which I think is pretty awesome. And all you have to do to opt in is fill out the Google form below. This isn't a survey like the last one. I just need to collect some information so I can reach out to you if you do win. And the giveaway will end when the clock strikes midnight, the night of November 30th. And I'll be announcing our winners in our 25,000 subscriber live stream on December 11th at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is right between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I hope you can join us. Be sure to submit the entries below and see all of the rules for the giveaway. And thank you all so much for making this community so amazing. Okay, now let's dive into part 1, how to get the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Well, for me, I actually started with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and this was the 3rd credit card that I ever got, but I product changed to the Chase Sapphire Reserve at the end of October or beginning of November of last year. Since I did product change to the Chase Sapphire Reserve instead of applying fresh for it, I did not get any welcome offer on it. However, for those of y'all that are considering applying for it soon, it has a base offer of 60,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points for spending $4,000 in the first 3 months of having it. As for elevated offers, when it first launched, it did have a 100,000 point welcome offer on it, but we have not seen that return. So the highest that we've seen in recent past would be 80,000 points, which came up in May of this year. In a lot of cases, it is actually best to go for the Chase Sapphire Preferred since it more regularly gets elevated offers than the Chase Sapphire Reserve does. But if you did want to go that route later and product change to the Chase Sapphire Reserve from the Preferred, there are a couple things to keep in mind. To product change from the Sapphire Preferred to the Reserve, you will have to hold the Sapphire Preferred for 1 full year before making that happen. And another rule that is thrown around, but I'm not sure is actually enforced with this card in particular, is that you need a $10,000 credit limit on the card that you're product changing from, since the Chase Sapphire Reserve is a Visa Infinite. Like I said, not sure how enforced that is with this card. Y'all can leave your data points below. I already had a $10,000 plus limit before product changing, so I don't have personal experience with that. But of course, between those 2 rules, the most important thing is that if you do not want to wait a full year after applying for the Chase Sapphire Preferred, I would just go straight for the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and you might sacrifice a little bit of a welcome offer. But with the ability to get multiple welcome offers on basically all of Chase's credit cards over time, it means that I wouldn't worry about that too much. And if you do end up wanting to apply fresh for the Chase Sapphire Reserve, here are some application rules that you need to consider. First, of course, is the Chase 524 rule, which states that if you've been approved for 5 or more personal credit cards in the past 24 months with any lender, you'll automatically be denied for your next credit card application with Chase. Second, we have the 1 Sapphire card rule, which, as it sounds like, means that you can only ever hold 1 Chase Sapphire card at a time. So if you already have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, you cannot apply fresh for the Chase Sapphire Reserve, hence why I product changed to it. And the same is true in reverse as well. And then third, we have the 48-month rule, which basically prohibits you from getting a welcome offer on a Sapphire card again, unless it's been 48 months since your last Sapphire card welcome offer. But you can use this to your advantage, of course. Like I mentioned, if you've had the Sapphire Preferred for 4 years already, you can go ahead and just, downgrade that to a Freedom card and apply for the Chase Sapphire Reserve fresh and still get a welcome offer on it. Now, before we cover all of the points that I've earned on this card in the last year of holding it, as well as all of the credits and benefits that I used and my effective annual fee, let's talk about the value of Chase Ultimate Rewards points so we can reference this throughout. The points guy values Chase Ultimate Rewards points at 2.05 cents per point, but remember that this is just an average valuation, and the actual value that you get from your Chase points depends on how you redeem them. So to cover it real quick, there are 3 main ways that I would consider using my Chase points, but some are definitely better than others. As for which ones you should completely avoid, that'd be anything that gives you less than a 1 cent per point redemption. That includes, shopping with points on Amazon and stuff like that. So don't let them fool you. Always at least redeem your points for 1 cent per point. But if you're on team travel like me, you're going to want to redeem them for more than that. So the 3 ways that I would consider using them depending on what camp you fit in. First would be cashback, back at 1 cent per point. Again, this is not ideal if you want to use your points for travel, but if you're just a straight cashback user, this is obviously a base redemption rate that you should be comfortable with. Second, you can redeem through their travel portal, which can give you up to a 1.5 cent per point guaranteed redemption rate, depending on what card you have. If you only have a Chase Freedom card or one of the free Chase Ink cards, you'll only get a value of 1 cent per point through the portal, so not great. With the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Chase Ink Preferred, though, you'll get a 1.25 cent per point redemption rate because those cards give you a 25% boost on your points through the portal whenever you use those cards to make the redemption. And the same is true for the Chase Sapphire Reserve, but instead you'll get a 1.5 cent per point guaranteed redemption rate. And then third, we have transfer partners, and the value there is technically uncapped. It's very heavily dependent on your redemption though. This is where that 2+ cent per point valuation comes from, particularly when you book, business or first class international flights, or you use specific partners like Hyatt, for example, who is pretty guaranteed to give you a good redemption value. Personally, as somebody on team travel, I will only ever use my Chase points either through their travel portal, since I get that guaranteed 50% boost on my points with my Chase Sapphire Reserve, or through transfer partners where I know I can get more than that 1.5 cent per point base value for me. I say that, but I've also used my Chase points in the past through my Chase Sapphire Preferred to get my MacBook that I do all of my work on for this entire business. But that was an interesting redemption, and I'd recommend you check out that full video on it if you are interested in learning more. Okay, so our point valuations are much better understood now. So let's talk about how many points I've earned on this card from spending over the last 12 months. Just for your reference, so you don't have to look this up, the Chase Sapphire Reserve will give you 10x back on hotels and car rentals booked through Chase's Ultimate Rewards portal, 10x on Chase dining through the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal, 10x on Lyft through March 31st of 2025, 5x on flights through the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal, 3x on travel, 3x on dining, and 1x on everything else. The categories that I utilize the most are of course going to be the 3x back on travel and dining. Like, I recently went back over my past 3 statements just to make sure that all of my stuff was coding correctly and I didn't need to swap some charges to a different card. And literally all of my transactions were either for travel or dining purchases. Plus, I always forget too that the 10x back on Lyft category actually is very beneficial. And while I don't use Lyft a ton, those points do add up because my girlfriend lives in downtown Austin, so we'll, sometimes Uber to different restaurants or bars or what have you. And then of course, whenever we travel, getting to and from the airport, I always use Lyft because of the benefits that I get from this card. But overall, travel and dining make up the majority of my purchases. So in totaling up all of the points that I've earned on this card in the past 12 months, I first want to note that the majority of my spend is going towards welcome offers on new credit cards that I apply for. So while I do use the Chase Sapphire Reserve more frequently than my other daily credit cards, the bulk of my spend is generally going towards minimum spending requirements for new card welcome offers. From November 4th, 2023 to January 4th of 2024, I earned a grand total of 484 points on this card. Back then, I was still using my Amex Gold for all of my dining purchases, which I obviously canceled earlier this year. And all of my travel purchases that were going on this card weren't earning me any points because they were going towards my $300 annual travel credit that we'll get into in the next section. But from January 4th to October 25th, I've earned 34,846 points, including my pending points. And from the screenshot on screen, you can see that what I said earlier is true. My top 2 earning categories are travel and dining, with Lyft being a distant third. Also, for full transparency, thanks to y'all, I was able to max out my referral bonuses this year on the card, but those points are not going to be factored into my equations at all in this video. But as you can tell, while I do earn a decent amount of points on this card every year, and the monetary value of those points we're going to get into here in a bit, that's just not going to cover our $550 annual fee on this card. So to do that, we need to get into the meats and potatoes of this card, that being its credits and benefits. There are 4 main benefits on this card that I personally use and get positive value from, and we're going to cover those in more detail up front, and then I'll also cover some of the minor benefits. But to start, we have the $300 annual travel credit, which effectively reduces the annual fee on this card to $250 immediately. And I say immediately because this credit is just so easy to use with Chase's broad coverage of travel purchases. I use this credit within a couple of months of having the card, so I think of it as an automatic discount to my annual fee. Next up is the lounge access it provides through the Chase Sapphire lounges, as well as a Priority Pass Select membership. The main lounge that I care about is the Chase Sapphire Terrace Lounge in my home airport, Austin, Texas. And it's not super fancy by any means, but Austin in general just does not have that many airport lounges, so having guaranteed access to this one for every one of my flights is really nice. In reality, what I'm about to say may be obvious to some, but I'm going to say it anyways. I think choosing a premium travel credit card, whether that be the Chase Sapphire Reserve, Amex Platinum Card, Capital One Venture X, what have you, you should place a really heavy emphasis on what your home airport has to offer. Like for my situation, there's no Amex Centurion Lounge or Capital One Lounge in Austin, but there is a Chase Sapphire Lounge. So for me, it's basically a no-brainer that I'm going to be using the Chase Sapphire Reserve as my luxury travel credit card. And while having access to those other lounges would be nice whenever I'm not in my home airport, I just don't place as heavy of an emphasis on them. But arguably, best out of all of its benefits benefits to me is the fact that the Chase Sapphire Reserve gives me a 50% boost on my points whenever I use them for travel through Chase's Ultimate Rewards portal. This is something I use a lot more now than I initially thought I would. And the reason for that is because, well, if you know anything about average point valuations with different airlines and hotels, sometimes you're really hard pressed to find a redemption rate better than 1.5 cents per point. And that is, of course, more specific to domestic stays, but considering that's 95% of my trips, that's obviously what I care the most about. So being able to have that guaranteed redemption rate while earning miles with the airlines I fly with and points with the hotels that I stay at has been really nice for my peace of mind when I travel. Of course, there are certain downsides to booking through a travel portal, especially whenever a flight gets canceled or delayed, but overall, I've had many more good experiences than bad when booking in this fashion. But just to give you a base understanding of how powerful this boost actually can be for you, we'll take a direct comparison of using Amex's travel portal versus the Chase Sapphire Reserve through the Chase portal. Through the Amex travel portal, if you wanted to use points to make your booking, you get a max value of 1 cent per point, which I wouldn't really recommend doing with your Amex points. So say that you have a $1,000 trip that you're booking through that portal, that would cost you 100,000 points. If you book that same exact trip through the Chase portal with your Chase Sapphire Reserve, it would only cost you 67,000 points. So you're saving 33,000 points, and at even just a 1 cent per point valuation, that's $330. If you use those points with travel partners instead next time, that's a value of at least $660 based on, the points guy's valuation. So obviously, if you're somebody that does enjoy utilizing travel portals, the boost that the Chase Sapphire Reserve gives you saves you a ton of points and just value over time. And the fourth big benefit for me is actually a combination of two benefits, but it all stems from the complimentary Lyft Pink membership that you get for 2 years with this card. Lyft Pink is actually really valuable, $200 per year if you use it to its fullest with all the benefits that you see on screen here. So far, I've personally saved $28.13 from member exclusive pricing, as well as free priority pickup upgrades, which I've only done one of because I don't like paying really extra if I can wait. So while that isn't a lot, if I lived in a city where I was using Lyft a lot more frequently, this benefit could actually be pretty massive. Oh, and also don't forget I've been getting 10x back on all of those rides, but of course that value is not reflected here yet. But with the Lyft Pink that you get on your Chase Sapphire Reserve, you also get a 1-year membership of Grubhub Plus. This perk is valued at $120, and it actually pairs really nicely with a card like the Amex Gold, where you have that Grubhub credit you can use. For me, I have the Amex Business Gold, which gives me $20 per month in the form of, Grubhub credits if I want to use them that way. And with Grubhub Plus, I can actually utilize that benefit to get food delivered to me rather than just setting them to pickup. And so far, I have a lifetime savings of $53.01. That brings the total of those two combined perks to $81.14. But remember that I'm really not a power user of either of these benefits, and I wouldn't pay for these benefits without this card, so that's why it's further down on my list. To zoom through some of the smaller benefits on this card, it'll give you a statement credit of up to $120 for your global entry, TSA PreCheck, or Nexus fee. It gives you access to the Edit Collection by Chase, which is a program that I use to book my New Orleans Creator Meetup hotel. And if you watch my recent video about that stay, you'll know that my girlfriend and I really enjoyed the perks and benefits it provided. You'll get National Emerald Club executive status and discounts. You get some Avis Preferred discounts as well. A complimentary Dash Pass for at least 1 year through December 31st of 2024, with an additional $5 monthly DoorDash credit while enrolled in Dash Pass through the same timeline. You get access to Chase's transfer partners, just like the Chase Sapphire Preferred and Chase Ink Preferred provide. You get Visa Infinite travel and retail protections, including an auto rental collision damage waiver and baggage delay insurance, no foreign transaction fees, and honestly, even more that I probably forgot to cover. And as always, you need to be sure to do your own research on these cards before applying for them. But as you can see, there's just a lot of different ways to get value from it. But now let's get into the part that we've all been waiting for, the total monetary value I've earned from this card in the past 12 months, including the valuation of my points that I've earned from spending on it, as well as the credits and benefits that I did actually use and get positive value from. I might be speaking for myself here, but I love getting into the numbers of this with my engineering brain, so I hope y'all enjoy it too. To start, remember here that I did not get a welcome offer on this card in the first year of holding it, and as we know, that is like the biggest way to get value from a credit card. But without that, in this case, we'll be able to get a much better understanding of the continued value I can get from this card on a yearly basis going forward. Usually in my year X review videos, if it's the first year review, most if not all of the value that I got from the card is from the welcome offer. So this is a more unique case, and I find that even more intriguing. So totaling up the points that I've earned from spend on this card, I've earned 35,330 points. At a 1 cent per point valuation in cashback form, those points would would be worth $353.80. At 1.5 cents per point through their travel portal, that would be worth $529.95. And at 2 cents per point with their transfer partners, I could get $706.60. To reiterate here, I only plan on ever using my points for a base redemption rate of 1.5 cents per point, but I do expect to get closer to an average 2 cent per point valuation for all of my Chase points over a year, thanks to sprinkling in some Hyatt stays as well as a first or business class flight maybe. So that's already a lot of value there. But with the credits and benefits, first of all, I took full advantage of the $300 annual travel credit. I've also got an estimated value of about $185.50 for lounge visits at an expected 25 total drinks that I've gotten for me and the people that I brought to the lounge with me, based on the average value of a drink in an airport being $7.42. As it comes to that 50% points boost, the way that I got a valuation for that benefit is by taking the difference between me having the Chase Sapphire Preferred and using the 25% boost versus the 50% boost on the Chase Sapphire Reserve, because I figured that'd be the most fair way to get that valuation. And in total, I saved $1,391 worth of points by doing this. Yes, I really did go into every portal booking that I made this year, figured out how much that would cost by using the Chase Sapphire Preferred instead, took the difference and then multiplied those values out. And to give you even more concrete numbers here, it came out to a total of 69,526 points that I saved by having the Chase Sapphire Reserve instead of the Preferred, which is $695 in cash back, $1,043 through their travel portal, and $1,391 with transfer partners, which is the valuation that I listed before. We're not done yet though. I still got that $81.14 from the Lyft Pink and Grubhub Plus memberships that I have, and $30 per year for that global entry TSA PreCheck credit. Totaling everything together here, I got a final annual value of $1,639.94 in cash back, $2,164.59 through the travel portal, and $2,689.24 with transfer partners. So by using that average valuation of 2 cents per point, that means that my effective annual fee on this card is negative $2,139.24. I will also actually take out the 50% points boost benefit just in case y'all think that's a little bit too up in the air. And to a degree, it's not actually accurate because I would not have always booked those trips through the portal at only a 1.25 cent per point valuation. I still have an effective annual fee of negative $748.50. Remember that both of those effective annual fee calculations is subtracting out the $550 annual fee. Plus, this is not including any welcome offer at all. So this is massive value and shows that even a card with a hefty $550 annual fee shouldn't scare you if you do know how to utilize all of the benefits on it and actually would use them naturally. Now that we've summarized all this data, I want to quickly talk about what is next for this card. To me, as the title suggests, not clickbait here, this is a card that I never plan on canceling unless they make some terrible changes to it or something like that. And the only benefit that I listed out in this video that I expect to get less value from in the future would be the Lyft Pink and Grubhub Plus membership. But considering that's only saved me like $80 this year, losing out on those just really doesn't impact me at all. In trying to be as conservative as possible with my estimates, this card pays me over $700 a year to keep it open. So why would I ever cancel it? Yes, there are other premium travel credit cards that I could go for instead of this one, but considering the Chase Sapphire Reserve has two main competitive advantages for me, that being the Chase Sapphire Terrace Lounge access and the 50% points boost in the portal, I just don't see myself ever maining a different travel credit card unless, like I said, they nerf it into the ground, or maybe I move cities, but that's not in my plans right now. So is the Chase Sapphire Reserve really worth it for me? Absolutely. However, that may not be the case for you. So if you want to analyze all of your premium travel credit card options before applying for one, go ahead and click into this video next. And as always, Odin and I both want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.